it's already time, everyone, so I'll quickly get started, right? Uh, so let me start with a quick introduction, everyone. Hi, this is Manali Patnaik. I work for GE Healthcare, have been with GE for about 8 years now, actually 8 years this 14th of July. So what I wanted to share with you today was, about my journey so far and what are some of my learnings which have helped me, tap into the right opportunities at my workplace. So let me quickly give you like a brief overview of my journey so far, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, your questions, and would also love to connect with you, after the session. So head over to the GE booth after the session. I'll be there for the next 30 minutes after this session. So basically, I have done my bachelor's in computer science and my master's in computer science from India. And I joined GE Healthcare as an intern for 6 months, was absolutely starry-eyed and bowled over by the amazing culture at the company. And I knew that this is where I wanted to start working, right? So after my internship of 6 months, I joined GE Aviation as a full-time software engineer, got to work on some of their most business critical applications. And let me tell you, rocket science is so much more interesting than it's made out to be. I had probably one of my best times, absolutely working hands-on, developing microservices, developing code, uh, functionalities for external customers for GE Aviation was absolutely amazing. That's when I realized, that I wanted to learn more about business. Wanted more opportunity where, I can learn about the business strategy, how decisions are made, how is our leadership thinking? Is it as easy as we think that you make a decision and you implement it? What does that side of the world look like? That is when, I requested my managers and my mentors and sponsors to help me become part of something called the Digital Technology Leadership Program. Now, GE, as many of you might know, has several leadership programs. GE is pretty much called a leadership factory, where if you take a look at the leaders in different parts of the world today, sometime somewhere they would have had a stint at GE, which is why, we have it's called a leadership factory, and that is something which I really wanted experience in. And fortunately, my managers were kind enough to give me a chance to join the Digital Technology Leadership Program. It was an absolute milestone in my career because, it helped me understand what are the different GE businesses doing today, what are some of their major challenges. So I was a part of the program for 2 years. The program is a 2-year program with 6 month rotations where you get to work with different GE businesses. I personally got a chance to work with renewables, with digital, with corporate, several other businesses, and try to understand what is it that is their biggest pain point. How can we reduce the cycle time, let's say for wind turbines? How do we make life easier for our customers in healthcare? So on and so forth. And that gave me a great insight as to how decisions are made, how it's not that easy when you have resource constraints, when you have budgetary constraints, where something you are working on might be deprioritized after 6 months, and you need to have the motivation and the right mind space to start working on something new. After 2 years as part of the leadership program, the Digital Technology Leadership Program, DTLP as it's called, I wanted to learn about, how do we stand when it comes to enterprise risk assessment? What is our posture when it comes to enterprise risk and security? So that's when I got the opportunity to join something called the corporate audit staff. Now, that was a huge opportunity for me because it was one of the most premier leadership programs in GE, where it's a 5-year, it used to be a 5-year program. Now it's been revamped into something else. But as part of that program, it is very hectic, very strenuous, but also very, very promising, where you get to again work on different GE businesses, understand what their risk posture is, understand what kind of security frameworks they have, like cloud governance, emerging technology risks, how are they developing their applications, and so on, right? So huge opportunity for somebody like me who was early career and got to work with some of the best minds. And after doing this, I realized GE has invested a lot in me by making me part of, the DTLP program, CAS, or the corporate audit staff program. I had learned a lot, and then I wanted to implement that in, a business in real time where there are real constraints. And I applied for the role of a product manager with GE Healthcare. And again, I got the opportunity to join the role. So today, what I do is I am a product manager for the Edison Builder ecosystem for GE Healthcare, for the Edison team, which means I work very closely with third parties, meaning startups, and find ways to collaborate with them. So GE Healthcare has built a platform called the Edison platform, where we want to make it a platform for healthcare providers or hospitals who are our customers, and we want to give them one single platform where the best of apps are available for them to start using. Consider it like an Apple or an Android, but only for healthcare applications. And I feel very fortunate to have been given this opportunity where every day, I get to meet new startups. I see how much resiliency it takes to build products like this, right? And of course, would love to connect more with each one of you. I can see some of the comments, would love to connect with you, learn more about, and I am very passionate about product management. How can we make product management more fun? How can we bring different aspects of security, customer focus, market fit into the picture? Would love to talk about that. But today, what I wanted to share with you was something around my, okay, I'm trying to skip to the next page. Okay, awesome. But today, what I wanted to talk to you about was, my learning so far and what I feel has really helped me get all the opportunities I have so far. Again, I'm very early career and I have a long way to go, or so I'd like to believe. But I think I'd love to share with you some of the things which have immensely helped me. Of course, thanks to all my mentors, sponsors, and guides along the way. But these are, I would say, my 5 key takeaways, which I'd like to share with all of you, right? So the first one is be impatient about the right things. Now, what do I mean by that? So when I say be impatient about the right things, it means be impatient about making yourself better every day. Be impatient about a process at work which you feel is not optimized. Be impatient about questioning the status quo. Does not matter where you are in the hierarchy. Ask those questions. And trust me, what I've realized is those simple questions are the ones which are most difficult to answer. Those are the questions. For example, when I joined GE Healthcare, I had this major imposter syndrome because I did not come from a healthcare background. I did not come from a product management background. But even asking something as simple as, does our customer really want this? What is the problem that this particular product is trying to solve? If you were the customer, will you pay for something like this? Simple questions, very basic, but questions which we tend to, I would say, ignore at certain times. So just being impatient about the right things would really help, the curiosity would really help us move forward. The second thing is be a sponge, right? Everything around you, you can soak in, the good and the bad. The bad tells you things you do not want to do. And it's learning the easier way, right? For instance, during my different rotations, I saw that there were certain processes, there were certain investments made which could have happened in a better manner, right? For example, when it comes to renewables, the way we assess our wind turbines, it is a long, long process today, where eventually almost 60% of our orders coming in are lost because the customer does not have the time. So there are times when we get lost in process and hierarchy, bureaucracy. Those are not the things you want to do. And instead of going through that experience and failing yourself, if you just sit and observe and be a sponge and absorb that information, you learn more. The way I see it is read like your life depends on it. Create your reading lists, read as much as you can. And of course, once you feel that you're learning, the most important thing to keep in mind is humble inquiry is key. We tend to ask questions when we're in a new space. We reach out to the experts to learn. But at times, the way we frame our questions and the way we ask them, it might not seem very humble. It might seem like we're questioning authority, which is totally fine, by the way. But when you go with the mindset that, hey, can you educate me on something? Can you help me learn? You are putting yourself at a position where you have an open mind, you're willing to learn, you're willing to absorb, and then share your opinions. That I feel has immensely helped me. Of course, it's not something which I'm great at. I'm not great at listening, but that's a skill I'm actively trying to, develop. And I think listening helps us the most, because when we speak, we talk about the things we already know. When we listen, we learn about things which we probably would never have thought about, right? So that would be, I think, my second key takeaway from my journey so far. Uh, the third one is actively seeking out mentors and sponsors, right? And I think it's very important for us to understand the difference between mentors and sponsors, and why, each one or both of those are equally important. A mentor is one who you admire, somebody who advises you and helps you because, they come from a lot of experience. They are your well wishers, but they may or may not have a direct influence on your career. Now, a sponsor is somebody who advocates for you. They are the ones who fight for you behind closed doors. They are the ones who can influence your career. And it's really important, to clearly understand who your mentor is and who your sponsor is. They do not drop out randomly. You need to actively go out and seek them, convince them why you want to be their mentee, why you want to be sponsored, what is it that you bring to the table. And trust me, it's a discussion. What I have seen, what helps me the most is, I set up my Fridays where, the first few meetings are usually with my mentors and sponsors, just keeping them up to date on what are some of the things I'm doing, how can I do it better, hearing about what they are doing, and sort of, creating mentally a map of how I can do the things which I'm doing better. Journaling also helps immensely, but I think it's really important to brainstorm and think, just thinking out loud and sharing some of your thoughts, your ideas, how you can do better with these folks who you admire and people who you aspire to be, right? The next one is, if opportunity doesn't knock, build a door. Basically, as Indra Nooyi states it, bring a chair to the table if you're not invited. Go out there, and instead of sitting and complaining about a particular process, about a particular team who's not, working as per, how you would like them to, or not facilitating something, map out a strategy on a page, take it to them, tell them that, hey, this is my suggestion, but I'd love to learn more from you. Can we come together and start working on it? So your role might not be of that person at that point of time, but then once you start getting your hands dirty, when they're looking for somebody, they will consider you. And that's helped me more times than I can remember, where, instead of just sitting and complaining about a particular process, you go in there, get your hands dirty, learn about it. It may or may not be related to what you're doing directly, but it definitely helps, create an opportunity for you. And like they say, opportunities are never they are never lost, they are just missed. They pass from one person to the other. So just make sure you create your opportunities, and when it comes in front of you, grab them with both your hands. And I think the final one I would say is preserve yourself. It's very easy for us to get lost, to forget, what our inner self is like. For instance, I am a huge introvert, and it takes a lot of energy for me to open up, to go out there. Even today, it takes a lot of convincing myself to be able to come out and talk at such a forum. And you need to protect yourself from the world, your dreams, your aspirations. You need to protect them and preserve them, and you know keep them to yourself and let them grow, because it's very easy to say that, hey, I'm going to change the world, but at the end of the day, don't let the world change you. Enjoy the little things in life. Again, I am terrible at I'm too hard on myself at times, but I think I've realized that stop being so mean to yourself. Stop beating yourself up after a meeting goes bad. And I tend to do that a lot. If I'm not happy with the way something happened in a meeting, it ruins pretty much my day. But then I've realized I would never talk the same way to a teammate of mine like I talk to myself. they would never accept it. So why am I so mean to myself, right? So preserving yourself, taking care of yourself like you are a baby who you've been, who you are responsible for is really important. So those were a few things I wanted to share with you. And thank you so much for listening. And I'd love to answer your thoughts, your questions, and I'll be available in the GE booth if you would like to, discuss more. So happy to do that. Thank you so much for attending. So I see a couple of questions, and since we have a few minutes, I think we can ask. We can go through some of these questions. Let me just scroll up. Again, thank you so much for attending, everyone. Really love having you, and uh, it's a huge boost for my confidence. So thank you. So I think some of the questions are. So I see one from Bhargavi. Even when you make efforts to open up and have conversations, if the response doesn't come back as you expected, how do you proceed? Be resilient. Trust me. What I've learned is that, the my career journey, which I showed you, right, when I moved on from software engineer to DTLP, it was not a one-stop shop. It was not an easy transition. I was doing well as a software engineer, so it was very difficult for my supervisor at that point of time to let me move away from that position and go to something entirely different. Keep asking the questions. Wait 2 months, tell them why it is important for them to let you grow, right? If the answer is no, talk to somebody else who can influence your career. I would say never take no for an answer as long as you're asking the right question. Have the conviction to ask for it, be resilient. It doesn't work out the first time, try the second time or the third time. If you believe in it, trust me, it is going to work out. It's not going to be easy, but if it's something which you really want to do and if it's worth it, you would have to fight for it, like all good things in life, right? How do you decide on who can be your sponsor? Great question, Veera. So the way I look at it is, my sponsor is, let's say, people like my 1/1 could be my sponsor. It could be leaders in my organization who I look up to, who I work with, who can influence my career growth. They are your sponsor. Mentor could be somebody who's not directly working with you, maybe. They know you, they are invested in seeing you grow, but they might not be able to influence your career directly. So think about it is that if there is a decision to be taken on whether you should be promoted or not, who would be all the different people in that room who would be having the discussion, right? And who do you think will vouch for you? Who do you think will fight for you behind closed doors? Think about that. And then, if you feel there's somebody who may not be convinced, seek them out, reach out to them, talk to them, find out what you can do to, probably help them believe in your capabilities, right? Thank you for the question. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. I see another DTLP, amazing. I see another question by Namrata. When you are very new in the company and new to the role as well, is it okay to ask silly questions to know what the business is? And also, is it okay to bother your lead for technical questions? Amazing question, Namrata. Thank you for asking that. In fact, this was exactly the space I was, and I think I still am. I've just been with healthcare for about a year. There are no silly questions. Trust me, even when people have been in one particular domain for 12 years, 15 years, 20 years, there are certain basics they oversee at times, and take it as your job, take it as a responsibility to ask those questions. And don't even start a question with, hey, this might sound silly. I do that a lot, but trust me, that's not the right way, because there are no silly questions. At times these basics force others to think about, these building blocks of a process, of a product, and so on. So I face the same as well. Imposter syndrome is a big one, but trust me, there's no reason for us to feel underconfident. it is something which is natural, but like they say, when you're not confident, fake it. Absolutely fine. Fake it till you believe in it, but also do your homework and do double the homework. Prepare, of course, you can reach out to the right folks, but also find out the resources. For example, what are the blogs they are reading? What are the books do they read during their leisure time? For example, if you're in healthcare, and like me personally trying to learn more about healthcare, I try to read a lot of books which are non-technical in nature. What does healthcare look like in US? What are some of the main challenges? And there are interesting books out there. So talking to people will give you a particular perspective, but reading outside of your, that particular domain or outside of your org, going out, just doing a Google search, like Google is your best friend. So never underestimate the power of Google, right? So just try to build your own opinion. It takes time, but then you need to do the groundwork in order to build your own opinion. Thank you, Vaibhav. Absolutely, Christoph. Totally agree with it. Don't base your worth on expectations of others. I think feedback is such a tricky word. We keep saying that we want feedback, but also remember, would you go to the same person for feedback? Uh, like, would you go to the same person from advice from whom you're taking the critique? That's also an important one. Take feedback with a pinch of salt, because everybody is coming with a different perspective. Take feedback with a pinch of salt. Decide what is it that you want to work on, and what is it that you think you're already good at, and build on your strengths. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone.